Hey everyone, I'm Scott Thomas, and it's time for another episode of Getting to Know the Family. Welcome back to another episode of Getting to Know the Family, the show where we get to know you, the parishioners of Holy Family Parish in San Jose. I'm Scott Thomas, your host, and I'm out here in the parking lot today because it might be where you first encountered my next guest. David Gomez is a member of our Knights of Columbus, and he's been out here in the parking lot week after week, helping direct traffic for the drive-through confessions and drive-through communion. He was also out here every week helping set up and tear down all those pop-ups when we were doing mass outside during the pandemic. So come along with me as we get to know David Gomez. Thank you, David, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So how long have you been a parishioner here at Holy Family?
A little over 3 years.
Okay. What brought you to Holy Family?
Well, I was going through some troubles in my life a few years back, and one of the parishioners, Lisa Victa, is a volunteer at our children's school. And I was volunteering as well every day because I'm retired. So we got to know each other, and we had a flood a few years back in our community around our school that displaced a lot of our families. So our principal had made some phone calls, and we started receiving donations from all over for these families to help them out. And it was food, clothing, appliances, a lot of different things that the community was donating for us. So at that time, we would receive the donations and we'd sort them out, and our children would come in on their recess and their lunch and after school and during the weekends to help out sorting things out and handing them out to the families as they came by. At that time, I was going through some emotional things in my life. I had deployed to Iraq in 2003 and 2004. And when I came home to a troubled marriage, and my life was upside down, and I ended up taking my 3 small children who are grown now and raising them on my own for a while. And I was still in the military, in the National Guard. And one day, one of my soldiers was saying, Sergeant Gomez, you are going through some stuff, and we can tell that you've changed and you're starting to get angry real quick, and maybe you should seek some help with a vet center. So I went, and I don't want to use PTSD as an excuse for getting upset or getting emotional. At that time, I didn't know what was going on. And so at that time when we were volunteering, Lisa noticed that something was going on, and she'd asked me, so I was honest and I was open to her about what was going on. And she goes, you might want to come and visit our parish, Holy Family. I said, okay. Well, she was not persistent about it, and she wasn't aggressive about it, but every once in a while she'd mention it and
give you a little reminder.
Right, and she said, you'd really like it. It's a wonderful parish. Everybody's so friendly there. So about 6-8 months later, one morning I got up, and I had been absent from my faith for a long time, like 40 years. But I had attended other Christian churches. Okay. And so I told my 2 daughters at the time, I think they were 7 and 9. And I got up, and they were used to going to the other churches with me. And so one morning I got up and I said, you know what, we're going to go to church. And they go, really? And they go, yeah. And they go, where are we going? I said, we're going to Holy Family. And I said, that's a Catholic church. And they go, Dad? And I said, yes. And so we're driving here, and my oldest daughter goes, Dad, if we don't like it, do we have to come back? And I said, no. I said, but I want you to be open-minded and see what's going on. So we came, and I was watching them, and I noticed that they were looking at the stained glass windows and the Stations of the Cross, and they were just curious, and they were listening to Father Andrew talk, and they were seeing the rituals and the ceremonies that we do here, and they were just glued and paying attention. And so when we left after Mass, we went to have coffee and donuts and bagels and cocoa with the Victor family, and we're sitting down, and Lisa gets up and says, "Well, you have to excuse me, I'm going to go get ready for Sunday school," because she was a Sunday school teacher.
Okay.
So I said, "Okay." And my daughter looked up at me and I go, "Dad, can we go to Sunday school?" And I said, "Sure." So I took them to their separate Sunday schools, and then I attended Faith Formation with Donna.
Okay, yeah.
And I went in there, and it was just, I felt like I came home. And then, excuse me, and then I went to pick up my daughters, and we're walking to the car, and they go, "Dad," and I go, "What?" And they go, "Can we come back?" And I said, "What?" They go, "Dad, there's something about being here." And she goes, "I can't explain it, but there's just something." She goes, "We want to come back." And my youngest daughter goes, Dad, please, can we come back?" And
Wow.
I just knew
That's
the Holy
a God
Spirit
moment
touched
there.
us, and it was just, I just was like, whew. Tears came to my eyes, and I got excited, and I was just overwhelmed with the feeling. So we started coming back, and the next week they were talking about faith formation for the children. So I said, "Are you interested in it?" They go, "Yes, Dad." And I said, "You can make your sacraments." And so I explained to them what that was all about, but they said,
Okay.
"Yes, Dad." So they started attending faith formation. But just before that, when I wore a younger man's clothes, I always wanted to belong to the Knights of Columbus.
Okay.
And so the second Mass, we were walking out, and there was a knight standing out there. So I approached him, and I asked him about it, and he gave me a card. I filled out the information. And then they started their faith formation classes, and then I got a call from the Knights, and I was accepted as a member. And so they asked me to come down and do my first degree. And it was like a dream come true. But the thing was when I was in here, my first Mass, and especially after my second Mass, after everything kind of settled in, I just felt the Holy Spirit touching me in a way that I haven't been touched in. I can't remember when. And I knew it was home. And so I started my journey with the Knights, and my daughter started a journey with the faith formation, and it just seemed like this is where I needed to be. It took a long time to get here. My journey was long, but it was right, and it felt right. It felt right to my daughters, and everything just felt good about that. And so as I would come here every week with my daughters, I was overwhelmed with the feeling in my heart that they were being touched by the Holy Spirit going through their faith formation class because they enjoyed it. And they were learning. And I was learning from them a lot of things that I had forgotten. And then sometimes I'd go sit down in their class and listen, because they would invite me,
Okay.
The faith formation teachers, which are, they're a blessing. They're a blessing here. They love to teach, and they want to teach, and they want to share their faith with the children and the adults as well.
What a blessing. I mean, and welcome home.
Thank you.
And also thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And also thank you for answering that call. To try something new again. I guess it wasn't completely new, but to have that invitation, many people would just say, not my thing. But wow, I mean, to think what you just described as a cascade of events that truly was life changing. And what a blessing. So we're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Like to maybe jump back to your youth. So you described being in the church and then away from the church for around 4 years. So did you grow up going to Mass? And
Yes. I was baptized as a baby Catholic.
Okay.
And then I made my first communion when I was believe 7 years old. And I never made my confirmation at that time.
Okay.
But we were religiously going to church every Sunday.
Okay.
Until I was about, I want to say, I think the 7th grade, 8th grade.
Okay.
And and then periodically after that. And it was like Easter, Christmas.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what kind of led to that separation? Was it just falling out of a habit? Was it?
Well, I think what happened was, one of the reasons was because when we moved, when I was a younger man, when I was a young boy, our church was not too far from us.
Okay.
And so when we moved to Sunnyvale, then our church was in Mountain View,
Okay.
the one that we would attend. And so that was quite a walk or a drive sometimes when our parents kind of separated from the church. And so, but then as a younger man, I would attend periodically, like I said, but I wasn't faithful,
Okay.
like I should have been.
Yeah.
And then I got married, and we started attending. My wife was Catholic, actually, and then we started attending another Christian non-denominational church. Thank you. And so then we got remarried, and I started attending a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
And so the thing is I enjoyed going to church and trying to learn the faith in their denomination, but there was always something missing, and I knew it, and I felt it. As much as I love my pastors and people in our congregation, there was always something missing. Until I came back here, and it just felt it.
Filled the hole.
I did.
Right?
It did.
Okay. You also talked about always wanting to be a knight. Tell me about what's drawn you to the Knights of Columbus, and what how has that enriched your life and your faith?
It has so much. Like I said, when I was a younger man, I always wanted to belong to it, and I just had heard that they were a men's organization that would do service for the church and for the community. But I didn't know what involved in that organization. And so when I met with the members of the Knights to make my first degree, they were just so open and welcoming. And then we went to the ceremony, and I became a first degree, and I was just like, whoa. And then I started going to the meetings, and I started listening to the Knights, and they're talking about being a better Christian gentleman and just being a better person. And I would listen to everybody, and I would watch them, and I just seen how faithful they were and how much they enjoyed being Catholic and doing the right things and all the different things that they were doing for the community. And it just that was what I wanted to do. Now, whether I wanted to do it for me or for Jesus or for the church or for anybody, the first thing that came to me was I wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it. I wanted to give back to my community, because I had ups and downs in my life, but my life was good. I have no complaints, and I'd do it all over again, no matter what. But I felt at this time, it's time for me to give back. I've been blessed so many times. So it was time for me to give back. And then as I was starting to do things with the Knights in our community and in our church, I started feeling more of why I should be doing this and why I am doing this. And it's because the Lord wants us to do these things. And it took me a while to figure that out, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And so as I was doing things in the community, and we would go do drives for the coats for the children, coats for the homeless, the food drives, going to the vets, the Palo Alto Veterans VA Hospital to do the Christmas programs, to do the barbecues in the summertime, visiting the vets, and I could see that our nights, some of them were vets, some of them were not. Some of them were retired police officers. We had nights from all over, different parts of walks of life and different backgrounds, and their hearts were in it, and I seen that, and it just was always overwhelming how much they loved their community and loved what they were doing, and it just made me feel like a part. When I retired from the military, between active duty and National Guard, I did 29 years, and when I left, I felt kind of lost, and the camaraderie was gone. There was no more camaraderie. I wasn't in charge anymore of things, and so that sense of my life was gone, and I missed it every single day. But when I came back and I joined the Knights, I felt that camaraderie.
Okay. That brotherhood. Right?
That brotherhood, and it didn't matter if we were veterans, if we were retired police officers, whatever the occupation was. Everybody came together. Everybody had the same sense of purpose, and the same goal. And the goals were to serve the Lord in the right way, do the right things, serve our community, serve our church, just do the right things.
Yeah, the Knights have always seemed to me, all of our ministries are ministries of action, right? Putting faith into action. But the Knights, really putting that sense of service to both the immediate community of Holy Family, but the broader community, like with the coat drives, with the Tootsie Roll drive, right? Putting the gospel into action.
Right. And the satisfaction you get after doing these things is a wonderful feeling, because we know we're doing it for the right things, for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. But also, when we talk to the parishioners in the community, they come out and they'll thank us, but we'll talk to them, we'll interact with them, and I see the love and the giving that they give with their open hearts and all their hearts to donate things to help other people, and that is a wonderful thing. When I do the confessions on Saturday, the traffic, and in the communion on Sunday, and I'm able to talk to the parishioners as they come through the drive-through. Okay. And when this pandemic first started happening and we started doing that, at first we weren't coming to church and things were up in the air and we weren't doing all the things we're doing now. And I felt a separation from the church, even though we were doing Zoom meetings with our Knights. But I felt a separation. I missed coming to Mass. I missed seeing our pastors. I missed seeing the new friends that I had made in this parish, in this community. But then when they were driving through, it was so much joy just to be able to talk to them and see them, and they would thank me for being out there, and I would thank them for coming, and it would just uplifted me, and it was just a wonderful thing. Right.
And the service that you've provided them too, right? Yes, they're giving it back to you, but you being out there to be that welcoming, face and helping coordinate that effort. So what a wonderful opportunity.
And the Knights have been a good role model for me. I struggle every day still, with my demons, and I try to overcome that. I pray. I try to be a better person. But be honest with you, sometimes it's just really a struggle. And I look to my faith, and I look to my brother Knights, and it just reels me back in. But I still struggle. I'm not a perfect person by no means.
None of us are.
So,
yeah. That has been, I think, a common struggle throughout this year, is missing the connections, right? one of the reasons we're doing this show is to try and help promote those connections again. So, you've mentioned a few ways, in terms of, guiding traffic for, reconciliation and for, drive up communion and things like that. What are some ways that you've, been able to make those connections, during the pandemic?
Well, also we were set up for the canopies.
Okay, so the outdoor masses.
Outdoor masses for Sunday, and also for the sacramental masses on Saturdays, which was a joy because we got to see, once they started get the children and adults receiving their sacraments on a Saturday, it was just a joy to see them do this after 2 years and waiting a little longer because of the pandemic. But to be able to see the joy on their faces and their families all come together, and that was overwhelming just to see that, because they had a long journey to get to where they were going, and they did it, and they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And so coming here to help set up, which was nights, and all of you, and all the volunteers that come here every Sunday, every Saturday, it's the same volunteers, which is a large group, and you see that their hearts are in it. It makes it so much easier. It makes you want to be around and do these things. And it's a blessing. It really is a blessing.
So you talked about receiving the sacraments. As a father, you talked about that longing that your children had, right from that first experience they had of the Catholic Mass, and wanting to receive the sacraments. So they went through sacramental preparation and then receive their first sacraments. Tell me about that experience.
Well, it was a journey, a long journey. And when the pandemic came out, my daughters were looking so forward to coming and receiving their sacraments. And
so just to be clear, in the time were their sacraments received during the pandemic? Was that
yes.
there? Okay.
And then that was cut short. And so they were really disappointed that they weren't able to make it on Easter, and when they thought they were going to make it. Like everything else, we talked about things and we tried to make the best of what's going on. I tried to explain to them, and they understood, but still they were disappointed. But finally, when they got the word that they were going to make it, they were excited, and it was just an overwhelming thing. I invited my family, and they came, my sons and daughters, and were able to watch their sisters make their sacraments, and it was beautiful. It was something. I was so proud, but yet so much in my heart, and for gratitude for everything that has happened here since we've been here. And it was just a wonderful thing.
So I've been wrapping up all of these conversations with a set of questions, that same set of questions for each guest. So altered it a little bit. But what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word? I think honesty.
What is your least favorite word?
Failure.
What turns you on?
See my family happy.
What turns you off?
Bad things.
What sound or noise do you love?
What sounds or noise do I love? I love listening to, I guess the sound, I don't know if this pertains to this, but George Bowinski. I listen to him on my radio, and we pray. He prays and talks about different things, and it brings me joy to listen to that. And And then my old rock and roll music, soul music.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Screaming.
Who's your favorite saint?
Saint Michael.
What ministry, other than one you've already done, would you like to attempt?
You know what I'd like to do? I play a little guitar.
Okay.
And I've mentioned this, and I'd love to be able to come up here and play and be involved with the rest of the musicians.
We'll talk. What ministry would you not like to do?
I don't think there's one that I would not like to do.
Okay.
You know, and I look at the ushers, and I'd like to get involved in that as well. It's just sometimes, well, right now we don't have the opportunity to do that. Although I would love to do that, but I don't think there's a ministry
you kind of already doing that with the drive in for the confessions. Okay. And lastly, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
I thank you for trying your best to be a better person.
Okay.
For trying to be a better person.
That's all we can do. Well, David, I've really enjoyed our time together. Chance to get to know you a little more. And, you know, can't say it enough, but welcome home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode. I'd like to thank our guest, David Gomez, for sitting down with me and sharing his heart. I'd also like to thank him for his service, not only to our community, but to our entire country. If you'd like to be part of an upcoming episode of Getting to Know the Family, please contact Christina in the parish office. We'd like to get to know you too. Till next time, God bless you.